So if you like heavy music that actually goes for the throat with massive riffs, technical intensity, real atmosphere, and zero concern for being polite, you're going to want to stick around for this week's Mom-approved metal albums. Hey metal fans, Mike with MikeOnMetal here. For those of you that don't know me, I've been a metal fan for most of my life. However, I did take a long break from discovering new bands and new albums. In my late 40s, I got back into checking out new music across the various heavy genres, and now I'm sharing the best of what I find each week with you in these videos. You can also find full album reviews, concert photography, and more on my site, MikeOnMetal.com. So after this week, I totally understand why so many of the metal YouTubers are doing their album of the year picks over the next week or two. This wasn't the simplest week to be able to find new albums to be able to share with you all. But I did it. 9 new albums, plus a killer Ripped From The Crypt that I think you're going to love. Number 3 this week for black metal, I've got Infernal Diatribe with Number 3 this week for black metal albums, I've got Infernal Diatribe with Mahabhuta Pralaya. Number 2, really enjoyed this one. 4 tracks, so much atmosphere and just crazy things going on in these songs. Sola Gravis with Hermit of Frozen Forests. Coming in at number 1 this week is Warlocks of Morgul with Empire of Puritanical Sorrow. This week's top pick is actually a local solo act. Yeah, you heard that right. Solo act from right here, Lethbridge, Alberta, where I live. This is their first full-length release following an EP last year and a split earlier this year. I would love to go through this one track by fucking track and point out every little nuance, musical element, just everything that impressed me, but I'm going to hold back. Now, I will say that the depth of structure on every track is just something that impresses the shit out of me right from the first listen. Each song is just a journey and not just in the lyrics or the themes, but like the guitar work, the drum work, just everything about this is impressive. There's a completely raw, but still clear mix, and it's surprisingly polished production for a solo project. Now, it's one thing for a black metal record to have a solid base of like tremolo riffs, blast beats, and just a perfect shriek vocal styling. But when you add kind of this level of melodic leads, fast-paced but controlled tempo changes, and drum fills, it just elevates everything to a whole different level of black metal perfection, in my opinion. I'm actually still a little stunned that I personally know the musician behind this album, and calling it an honor to know them really feels like I'm underselling it. I hope you enjoyed this album. Please go have a listen to it. Show as much support as you can. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought. I'm sure they'll be reading the comments and we'll appreciate everything that you have to say about it. All right. Next up, death metal category. So coming in at number 3 in the death metal category, I've got Death Tunnel with Predisposed to Decompose. Number 2, I hope I'm pronouncing this one right, Sepulchral with Beneath the Shroud. I actually posted this one earlier this week on my threads. Yardfield Colony with the Doomestication. Now, this one actually hits the streets the day after last week's releases, and it's probably a good thing since this would have made it a much more difficult pick for top album last week. Now, Doomestication is the second full-length studio album from this German death groove band. Now, y'all know how I feel about instrumental openings, but after getting past this 2.5-minute instrumental / atmospheric opening track, and about 10 seconds into the second track, I knew this was going to be the top pick for my death metal albums this week. How have I not heard this band up until now? Groove, technical precision, melodic passages, aggression. Just to say that this album is something you can get fully immersed in doesn't even start to describe it. So the production is clean enough that you can hear bass lines clearly without anything else dropping out, which is totally rare. The vocals change up often enough to keep things interesting, and the solos add a technical edge that almost pushes this into tech death. There's some ridiculous tempo changes that I replayed just to make sure I wasn't hearing things wrong. Groove and creativity are dialed all the fucking way up on every track. This is exactly the type of album I hope shows up near the end of the year, and it's one more reason I don't finalize my album of the year list before January. Last up, we're hitting our core genres. Number 3 is Bodybag with As It Ferments. Number 2, I have Dying Alone with What I Fear Most. And coming in at number 1 is Massacred with The Final Plague of Earth. I'm not sure if it's that I'm reading Choosing Death, The Improbable History of Death Metal and Grindcore right now, or just that I really enjoy the brutality and short track lengths of the grindcore genre. Either way, here we are again with another grindcore album taking top spot in the core genres. Now, while Metal Archives is showing this band a split up, I kind of have to question how current that info is with this latest album being released just 4 days ago. Maybe the title was intentional, The Final Plague of Earth being an elegy to the band's status. In any case, this is an album that leans hard into the roots of the genre in both style and length. I've got 16 tracks with a total album length of just over 20 minutes. From the sewer drain vocals to the pummeling drums, this is a brutal battering of your brain from the opening track to the last. The only breather you're going to get is the start of track 11, which is a spoken word sort of storyteller style opening that quickly returns to the visceral assault on your senses. If you like structured songs with like openings, riffs, choruses, verses, and other filler, this is not the album for you. If you want to feel like a band just climbed inside your skull and stomped around in your gray matter, you're going to want to go hit play. All right, last up is my Ripped From The Crypt. Now again, this is where I share an album from any time frame other than the past week. Could be something that I found too late for the previous week, or it could be from back when we all had hair down to here, including me, which I might be growing back, I'm not sure yet. This week I've got Kronos with Arisen New Era. This is just some ridiculously heavy, brutal death metal out of France. It's loud and savage enough to make lesser bands sound like elevator music. This band focuses on Greek mythology, but specifically the gory side of the gods. With guitars, this sound absolutely vicious, including pick slides, sweeping solos, a mix of alternate and legato picking. It really does kind of push into something that I'm going to describe as brutal technical death metal. There's absolutely no letting up on this entire album. It's a frenetically paced record from start to finish, not overly produced, but with clear instrument separation. The vocals don't blend in. They kind of sit just at that perfect level right above the music so that they're also not lost or muddy in the mix. Now, the tempo changes are clean and frequent, but it's not one of those albums where they're so frequent that the songs feel disjointed or overly complicated. Had I been doing all of this 10 years ago, I could easily see this album sitting in the top 10 of my album of the year for 2015. If you want something that feels like gods ripping mortals apart for sport, crank this thing and pray you survive it. All right, everyone, those are my top picks for this week. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I'll be back again next week, even if the picks are getting more difficult with it being year end. I don't want to post anything for album of the year until January. I'm just one of those optimists that thinks, you know what? The final Friday of the year, I just might get something that lands in my top 5. Now, as always, support your local scene, buy the damn band shirt, and stay heavy.